Charles Schneider, state senator from District 22, newly elected, fresh face on the Hill. What's his plans, his goals for you in Iowa? Today, live on The View from a Pew.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Let's get it started in here.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. That's 855-244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, fourth day of June in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is the Tuesday edition of The View from a Pew on 99.3 KTIA, powered by WebcastOneLive.com. And Tom Coates is in the house on Tuesday when we talk local politics, some stuff going on. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing good, Mac. How's your week been going so far?
It's all right. It's been pretty good. You know, hanging. And you look like you have a tan.
Well, I was outside some yesterday. I was enjoying. I had some things to do, and I thought, why not combine them with sitting outside and doing them on my computer? And I had to pay some bills, and so I sat outside, enjoyed a cigar, and got everything what I wanted. I got my work done, and I got some outside sun. So you're very observant, Mac. I do have a little bit more of a tan today.
And you can now look out over your backyard and not envision a 6-story casino back there.
Or a 10-story casino, or whatever else they were trying to do to us. Yeah, we beat them like the old saying about a redheaded stepchild. We just put it on them. 32% turnout and 60-40 on the vote count. It was
you think that's
dramatic.
A dead deal in Warren County?
I don't think they're going to. Well, they can't come after us for 8 more years, but I think as badly as we beat them, I think I was told that Prairie Meadows was angling towards a south side branch of Prairie Meadows, more of a ramp down Indian-style casino. But if they do that, I was told they had to put it on the ballot. And because of the enormity of our win and the fervency of the issue with the public, I was told that they would be very reluctant now to put it up on the ballot.
Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I think that's incorrect. If they were to build one in southern Polk County, the county they're already in, I don't think it needs to go to the ballot again, does it?
I was told, and I will not mention the person's name, but he's in the legal profession.
Okay.
And he told me if they did this, and he has worked this issue some, he's not just a run-of-the-mill, stumbling bum lawyer coming out of law school. The guy's been around for a while, and he's worked the casino issue, and he told me if they did do that, it would have to be a ballot issue for the county again. So if that came from a good source. And if that's true, then I feel heartened that we may have beat that back a little bit too.
So they haven't balloted in Dallas County, though, ever, have they?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, 9 years ago they did, and they beat it. It was over 70% at that point. I mean, Dallas County wanted nothing to do with it. The county that Winterset sets in,
Madison.
Is that Madison?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Madison County. They beat it a little over 60%. Warren County was the closest at that point. It was 54-46 9 years ago, and that's why they thought Warren County might be ripe. They thought, maybe over time they've got to, sell a bowling alley and an entertainment center, and oh, by the way, there's a casino, and go that route. And we beat them strongly. So I don't think we're going to see anything. I mean, you look at Wild Rose; they spent $300,000+, got nothing for it. I mean, that's not much of an incentive to want to come back and go to that well again anytime soon.
Right. All right. Well, I'm glad to see we probably won't see any more casinos in our back or front yard.
I think in the whole metro area, and I said this on election night, it's going to be very difficult. Now, he's angling at Greene County, which is up around Jefferson, Iowa. I got contacted the other day by some pastors that are concerned over the prospect of having a casino come into their county. It's Wild Rose again. And that might be far enough away from the metro area. It might be a little more vulnerable. So we'll see. But I think in the immediate metro area that's doing well, and the citizens are feeling pretty good about their economic prospects, I don't think there's anybody that's presumes that anything in the metro area is going to go.
Well, if they come after Greene County, just have those folks up there tell them they hired Tom Coates to be the anti-casino leader, and that'll scare them off right away. You packed him in Warren County.
Did I tell you what? Did I tell you that that interview in the paper that came
Yes.
out? The reporter, my answer was rather colorful that day, and I said that if I had spent over $300,000 and was only able to hire, and I won't repeat what I said, but people of low intelligence, low character, and so forth, that was a rather colorful reply. When he not only said, this is Gary Kirk, not only said that I and the preachers have been out lying in their churches. I'd heard that before. In fact, he screamed it at me in the middle of the locker room. That wasn't a surprise. What he charged and tried to get the reporter to print was that I had taken money from Prairie Meadows.
You had?
Yes. That's what Gary Kirk said to the reporter. The reporter said, "How do you answer the charge that you're motivated by money from Prairie Meadows?"
He asked you that.
Yes.
That's whatever. Anybody who knows you, that wouldn't be the case.
Well, and then he called me back later, wanted some more quotes on it, and I said, well, I hope you print that. I said, my wife been asking me to go to Europe. I said, we can't afford it. I need a new car. I don't think I can afford that. I said, but you go ahead and print that. And I said, we'll have plenty of room to do those things afterwards.
Yeah.
That backed him off. He didn't print it. But that charge was made, and that's why I made a rather colorful response.
That's just absurd. I mean, well...
I didn't
Your
know if I
level of
told you that.
integrity is so much higher than that.
I don't know about that, but I do know that I couldn't sleep at nights or face my maker very clearly by taking casino money. So I didn't know if I told you. I know
no, you didn't
at all.
Tell me
so
that.
Okay, that was part of the reason that response was elicited to that degree.
Wow. All right, let's get to our guest, Charles Schneider. He's the brand newly elected state senator from District 22. You were elected in November?
December.
Yeah. And that was was that a special election?
It was. It was to fill the vacancy that was created when Pat Ward unfortunately passed away from breast cancer.
That was sad.
Yeah.
She was reelected and then passed away.
Right.
All right. And
well, actually, she hadn't been reelected yet. She passed away before the November election.
Oh, that's right.
But she was going to Desmond had lined up. Your opponent in your election had lined up to run against her.
Right.
So that was already set, and then she passed away before the general election.
And your District 22 includes West Des Moines, Waukee, Clive, and Windsor Heights. Man, that's a powerful district. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of money, a lot of issues.
It's and there's a lot of economic diversity within that district too, which is one of the things I like about it. And one of the things that I like about it, too, is that it's all pretty compact, so I don't have to do a lot of the traveling that some of the other state senators and state representatives do. Sometimes their districts cover multiple counties.
Yeah. All right, and what do you do for a living?
I'm an attorney for Principal Financial Group. I'm an in-house counsel for them.
And you just slammed attorneys. You
No,
realized?
I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not.
Oh, play back that tape. I think scumbag was used or something like that.
Not. I said some. I wasn't.
I heard it, Mac.
The supply demand has too many attorneys out here right now, and that sometimes is causing some of us some problems. They're like a pack of wild, hungry dogs out here hunting for some meat and no proper mentorship. Yeah, so that is a problem. But no, in fact, I was over. A few months ago, Charles?
Yeah.
I was asked to come over and speak at Principal, and there was quite a few dozen in-house attorneys, and you were one.
Yeah,
and you came up, and we had communicated back during the election, hadn't actually met. We met again at another event recently. We started exchanging emails, and I asked if you'd like to come on, and we're certainly happy to have you on. But I other than just a general pass at a stumble bum attorney. But no, this is
there
not.
There it goes again.
Well,
there's too many of them.
We actually met in the late 90s when I was working on David Oman's campaign.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks for... I did not know that.
Yeah,
okay.
It had been a while, and
okay.
I hadn't even gone to law school yet at the time, so a lot of time has passed.
Well, I was impressed that they had as many in-house attorneys over at Principal as they did. I had no idea that... is there like 60 of you over there?
Yeah, there's, I don't know the exact number, but it's close to that. And we have a lot of attorneys in different countries throughout the world, too. We have some in Brazil, a couple in Australia, one in Hong Kong, and some in other places, too, Mexico, for example. So we not only have a lot of attorneys right here in Des Moines, but throughout the world, too.
Let me ask you, do you think that the law schools should be cutting down on because the supply demand is out of whack. When the lawyers come out of the law school today, oftentimes there isn't a waiting job for them. Mm-hmm. That we're turning out too many attorneys at this point. They're not receiving the normal mentoring that times past would have allowed for. I wasn't really joking when I said there's really too many young attorneys that don't have a home, and they're kind of coming together, and in some cases they're out just hunting game at this point. What's a solution, Charles? You're an attorney. You've been out of law school how long?
10 years? 11 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, 11 years.
Do you agree with my assessment that there's more attorneys than there is legitimate work for them at this point? And if you do, what's the answer to that?
I've heard that and read it anecdotally. I haven't looked into the data, the raw numbers, or anything like that. To the extent there is such a problem, I would hope that the problem would take care of itself over time. People who are wanting to come into law school would hopefully do some research and know that there might not be a job for them when they graduate, or a good paying job for them when they graduate. And I know some law schools, and I think the University of Iowa has done this, they've actually used the slow job market to be more selective in who they're taking, so they're not taking as many law students as they had in the past. And one of the benefits of the law schools for doing that is it boosts their ratings in U.S. News and World Report, for example, because it makes them more selective.
I like the sound of that. I'm also understanding from other people that the same situation exists for chiropractors now. Some of the chiropractic schools have turned out too many chiropractors, and there's too many practitioners, not enough people needing their back cracked to keep them all busy.
Did you go to Iowa?
I did for law school. I did a joint JD MBA degree there. I went to undergraduate at Creighton University in Omaha.
Oh, the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Where are you from originally?
Originally from Iowa, born and raised. I was born in Davenport, but we lived in Muscatine. My dad worked for Hahn Industries, and when I was 2, we moved from Muscatine to Richmond, Virginia. When I was 8, we moved back to Muscatine. When I was 10, to Clive. And when I was 16, we moved to Newton, Iowa. So I've lived all over the place.
Yeah,
you know Dave Stanley?
I know the name.
Okay.
I was really young when I lived in Muscatine, and I know his affiliation with Iowans for Tax Relief and the Stanley Foundation. I think that's the same person.
Yes, it is.
Did you have him on with us once?
No, I've never brought Dave Stanley on.
Okay.
I'd like to meet him
sometime. He's also involved with, he and Charles Gabus were the two kind of founding members for the kind of shadow conservative group in the Methodist Church trying to hold them accountable. And I remember years ago, Charlie Gabus called me up, wanted to know if I wanted to come on the board for that group. I'm a Methodist, and you know that Jackie Robinson was a Methodist. I mean, you knew that God's a Methodist.
I learned that in the movie.
I didn't know where you were going.
That same day, David Stanley was on the front page of the Des Moines Register, and it was some brouhaha over something associated with this group. And I said, Charlie, I really appreciate you calling me, but I've got enough irons in the fire and things that I'm embroiled in without trying to tie into one more.
Yeah, Charlie was a real supporter of his church. A lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah.
He gave his church a lot of money.
I'm sure that he had a lot of money, and the way he was devoted to this group, trying to bring the Methodists back to their conservative roots with Wesley, I suspect he was very generous.
Tom Coates is with us today. It is the 4th day of June in 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Charles Schneider, newly elected state senator, District 22, is our guest. When we come back, some of the issues that the state senators had to deal with this last session and what he sees coming up next. That's next, live on The View from a Pew on 99.3 KTIA, Iowa. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershad.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's gonna be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're gonna do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios,
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
4th day of June of the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is the Tuesday edition of The View from a Pew. Of course, Tom Coates in the house, and our special guest today, newly elected State Senator Charles Schneider from District 22, which includes West Des Moines, Waukee, Clive, and Windsor Heights. And I don't say this tongue-in-cheek, but did you want to grow up and be in politics?
You know, I always wanted to have some level of public service. I didn't know exactly what that would be growing up. For me, I think my desire or my passion to run for public office really grew out of involvement. Before getting elected to the state senate, I was on the West Des Moines City Council.
Okay.
And prior to getting elected to that, I had been involved in West Des Moines Rotary, the West Des Moines Chamber, some other organizations, and one day was approached by then Mayor Gene Meyer about running for city council. And after thinking about it, I decided to go ahead and do it. And the same passion for our state of Iowa is what propelled me to run for the state senate as well.
Yeah. I lived in Des Moines most of my life until 8 years ago, and then I moved into Clive. but I had businesses in Clive. And I used to tell Dennis Henderson, our city manager, that he's very lucky that I don't live in Clive, because if I lived in Clive, I'd run for mayor. And then we moved to Clive. My wife turned 50 and decided she wanted to live in the suburbs, and so we moved to Clive. And so I went to Dennis and I said, "Hey," he said, I'm serious. Ashman was getting ready to step down, so it was going to be a brand new election. I wouldn't have had to run opposing the current mayor. And I said, "Is there any workshop, any training or anything?" And I'll never forget it. Henderson, with a twinkle in his eye, said, "Yeah, I'll put you on the budget committee this year." So he puts me on the Clive budget committee. And I remember taking the first break in the first meeting of the Clive Budget Committee, going out on my cell phone and calling my wife and saying, "I'm never running for public office." And Dennis Henderson was exactly right to put me in there, because he knew that I was not enough attention to detail to be a competent city official. I could be the clanging cymbal probably, but not a competent one. So that's kind of like I told you before, I have great respect for people who do that, because it's just something I couldn't do. All right, so all right, let's go back to West Des Moines for a second. So what was the first thing that happened after you were elected to the West Des Moines City Council that made you go, "Wow, I like this. This is good"?
Well, the first thing I really remember happening, and it didn't make me go, "Wow, I like this. This is good," but it was the recession.
Oh.
The recession hit. I was elected in 2007, and the recession hit soon after that. I was the chair of our city's finance committee, and we collectively made a decision at that time that we were going to hold our property tax levy steady, and that we were going to force government to live within its means. We knew that tax revenues were going to be decreasing because of decreased property valuations and increases in foreclosures, and that would take a toll on city coffers. But I came to the quick realization that that's when governments lean out. Businesses lean out when they don't see as much profit and revenue. And I think really the best opportunity that elected officials have to, in effect, coerce or induce cities to lean out is to make sure that you're holding the line on taxes when times go bad.
Now, when you say lean out, you mean?
Find efficiencies.
Okay.
Look at ways to hire out different services that it had been providing itself in the past.
Okay.
And taking a look at vacant positions when they become open to decide whether or not it's really a position that needs to be filled.
Get skinnier, more efficient.
Yeah. Okay. Charles Snyder is our guest today, state senator from District 22. That's West Des Moines, Waukee, Clive, and Windsor Heights. So you went to the State House for the first time this year with the legislator. What would you say is your overall impression of how our state legislature runs?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised at how much we got done this year. It was really surprising to me that we were able to get done property tax relief after it had been talked about for years, and education reform after it had been talked about for years. We found a solution on healthcare expansion. And we did a decent job, not a great job, I think, but of managing the increase in revenues.
Right. Now, again, you're coming from a city council, your normal environment. You're moving to the state capitol. You've got two bodies there. You've got the House. You've got the Senate. The Senate is marginally controlled by the opposition, 26-24. We were, many of us, disappointed that the Republicans were not able to take advantage of what we thought were some opportunities last fall and gain control. But now you're in a minority position. What was your impression of dealing from a minority position, having to deal with the Gronstalls and some of these people that at times appear from the outside to be a bit heavy-handed? What was your impression?
That it's hard to get something done when you're in the minority. It's especially if it's a partisan issue or one that would be viewed as, if not necessarily divisive, but at least partisan. Very hard. Even though there's just a 2-seat majority for the Democrats, they control every committee and they set the agenda. So if they don't want a bill to be brought up for a vote, it doesn't get brought up. If they don't want to run something through a committee, it doesn't get run through a committee. So that was my first impression. I learned quickly that if you want to get something done in a bipartisan manner, that is still possible. And I was the ranking member on the Senate, well, am still the ranking member on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and I've got a good working relationship with the chair, Senator Hogue from Cedar Rapids.
How do you, as a rookie, how do you become the ranking member?
This was another surprise. I was the only practicing attorney in the Republican caucus.
Oh, so they ceded the position of ranking because of your law background.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They put me in that.
Right, I just
Jack
assumed,
Whitford's graduated
because
from
many
law
of that
school,
is just on a seniority basis. I think in D.C. oftentimes, you know, you could be the smartest guy in the room, and you could, if you're the rookie, you'd still be the junior on the committee, but not so here, huh?
No, not this time anyway. And I think Senator Dix broke a little bit from past precedent when he put me in that position, and he also put some other freshman legislators in different ranking member positions on their committees too. But what he told me is he was really trying to match people with their skill set. Or
son of a gun! What a unique idea in government.
Yeah, but no, Mac, is it normally the senior person that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. I'm glad to see that they can do that.
Throw your headphones on. We've got a caller on the line. Good afternoon, Frank. You are live on The View from a Pew. How you doing, Frank?
Good, thanks. Hey, I got a question for your guest, and I got a statement to back up something Tom said. Newt Gingrich offered a statistic several years ago that said we graduated 60,000 engineers in our country in a given year, and China graduated 10 times that amount, 600,000. But the number one thing graduated in our colleges and universities in the United States is lawyers. So my question to your guest, with that said, nothing against you, nothing against your profession. If that's all that's stepping up and that's the pool to choose from, I'm not taking a swipe at your profession. But what can we do? I think lawyers is part of the problem. Eric Holder getting up and parsing words, Bill Clinton getting up and parsing the word, what the word is. What can we do to encourage more normal people to get into politics? The Mr. Smith goes to Washington type thing where you go, you do a job, you come home, you go back to your job. Because this career politician stuff, Frank Lautenberg dying in office, people just feeling like they're entitled to get into politics and stay there till they get carried out in a pine box is really bothersome to me.
All right, Frank, thanks for your question. We'll try to get that answered for you.
Thanks, Frank, for your call. And I think Frank makes a valid point. You can certainly over-lawyer a legislative body, and I think we really don't want to have too many lawyers in the legislature. In Iowa, I think we're already doing a really good job of encouraging business owners and people from diverse backgrounds and professions to go into the legislature.
Do you know how many attorneys we have in the legislature now?
In the Senate, there are only 3.
Really?
Really.
I'm surprised. I would have guessed more.
Yeah, so would I. I would have guessed that too. In fact, the first day that I was walking into the Senate chamber to get sworn in, the doorkeeper came up to me, one of the older guys who serves as a doorkeeper, and he said something to me that I don't think I'll ever hear again. He said, "Senator Schneider, it is so good to see another lawyer here. You don't know how long we've needed another lawyer in this chamber." And I know I will never hear that again in my life. And in the House, I think there are maybe 12 attorneys.
Is that right? 12 out of 100. So just a little over, just a little over 10% then would be the count over there. But I agree with you. I think...
You lose track of common sense
number,
when you have, I think you lose, like Frank was saying, I think you lose track of a lot of common sense thinking when you just have a chamber full of lawyers, because lawyers
Maybe we need a few more. Now, there is an allegation was on the news last night, topical issue. A woman has filed a grievance claiming sexual harassment with the legislative Senate, I guess in particular. She worked for the Republicans. I don't know other than what I see on the news. I know none of the details. Is there anything you can say about the environment? Because if it's as she said, they have a kind of an unhealthy environment for from a woman's standpoint. There is there anything you can say in regards to that?
Right off the bat, I can say that the statements that Kirsten made, the allegations, are troubling to me, because I don't want that kind of environment for our staffers to work in. I don't know anything about the situations she's specifically talking about because they happened before I was in the legislature, and I personally have never heard any kind of locker room banter like what she was talking about. I asked my wife if she had. My wife clerks for me up at the legislature. She hadn't heard anything either, but we're not staffers. I'm an elected official, and she works for me. Staff is hired by it'd be Senator Dix's chief of staff, and we as elected officials aren't involved in the evaluation of our caucus staff or the hiring or firing of our caucus staff. So there's nothing I can really add as far as the substance of her allegations goes.
So you think perhaps some of the senators might not even be aware, even if that kind of thing were going on?
No, well, I didn't know that that had been going on with our staff. I'm not happy that it went on, and I expect there to be a change.
Do you think it's legitimate that they said that she was terminated for cause, that her underperformance of her work was really the reason? Dix, I think some of them were saying she was underperforming at her work and had not stepped up to where they wanted her to be, or her charges of retaliation, do you think, valid?
Yeah, I don't know what went on as far as evaluation or what kind of conversations were had with Kirsten about her job performance, so I really don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know her, and I don't know much about the case, but, if you are, it seems in this country that if you're not connected to your Creator, and you're not truly an honest person with integrity, that if you're black, it'll be racism. If you're a woman, it'll be sexual abuse. If you're gay, it'll be bullying. It just seems that in one way it's a good thing because all people have some power to rise up within the majority and say, hey, I've been wronged. But on the other hand, sometimes that can really take some good people down. Their accusations. All right, we're going to take our break. When we come back, more about Charles Schneider, the state senator from District 22, what happened at the Iowa legislature last year, and what he sees coming up next for the legislature 13 and 14. We'll be back on 99.3 KTIA Iowa, powered by WebcastOneLive.com.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
Your favorite programs on Webcast One Live can all be watched and listened to on any Android or Apple device. Your phone, tablet, or iPad. Yes, your favorite shows on Webcast One Live are available live or on podcast wherever you go. Let me introduce to you some of our great shows. I'm Michael Libby. I'm the host of Insight on Business, the News Hour. We're seen live at 8:45 each Monday morning at Webcast One Live or whenever you want on my blog or on the internet. So what qualifies me to talk about advertising, marketing, and consumer trends? Well, it's my business. Inside Advertising, Marketing, and Communications has helped dozens of companies, small, medium, and large, learn how to use advertising correctly. And we pass that information on to you each and every week.
Well, hi. My name is Mike Ahmed, and I host the show Bridge the Gap Ministry. Our vision is to bridge the gap between cultures. And what we use the Word of God. And because His riches in that Word and the wisdom is what brings us together. So we learn the Word, we speak the Word, and we practice the Word on this show every Thursday. Don't miss it. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
So when you want to watch your favorite Webcast One program, remember, there's an app for that. There's an app for that.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
We're the ones in the pew, not pulpit. Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
Fourth day of June in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and Right Places in my place tomorrow, and I have a feeling from what's happening on Facebook today, one of his subjects will be floppy. Remember Floppy, Dwayne and Floppy on Channel 13 years and years ago?
I grew up with Floppy.
Okay, really? Were you like best friends, pals? Did you go to the same school?
Once. He showed up at the movie theater. I was just a young kid. I thought the biggest celebrity in the world had come to town.
Well, sure.
And now that I know what was going on, Dwayne had probably had one too many to drink and had probably taken a wrong turn and ended up in Cord, Iowa by mistake. But he and Floppy were there.
Well, you know, they have a... I don't know what you want to call it, a presentation of Floppy and Dwayne at the Historical Society.
Yes.
Well, they're taking it out.
They are?
Yeah. That's all the news on Facebook today.
Huh. Well, how can they do that?
Well, I don't know. They're just doing it.
Floppy's an icon.
And so Right Places is one of the guys who's trying to get him to save Floppy. Oh. And Reich was the guy who got the West Des Moines barn on Valley High School property saved. So this guy knows how to do that. But no, I'm just telling you.
Well, I'm
He's
shocked
a good
at
guy,
that.
right? Rake's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shocked at that. I grew up with Floppy.
Here's what he says. He says, I'm sure that you are aware that there have been a Facebook group created to save Floppy from your basement as you make room for new exhibits at the State Historical Building. May I implore you to do the following. Increase your fundraising campaign to increase the size of your building or utilize other buildings of significant historical value before tearing them down to house such a historical value of artifact of Iowa.
Well, as long as the generation like myself that grew up, and when we grew up growing up, Mac, I mean, there wasn't much on TV. I mean, initially it was black and white for the most part. There were 3 stations. The public TV throw in there, for a few hours a day. And Floppy was our entertainment. Bill Riley and Dwayne Ellis and Floppy. That was it.
Yep.
And until my generation goes away or can't motate, get out and about anymore, they've got to keep Floppy in there.
Well, yeah, Ms. County is who he's writing this letter to. She must be the curator of the Historical Society, or
she'd be the director.
You know
her? It'd be Mary County. Peter County's wife.
Pete's wife. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. This will be interesting to play out because you're right. If you're under 40, you don't know who Floppy is?
My class was on his show.
Okay.
I remember going. Okay. Yeah, I remember my class from Sacred Heart went there one day.
Well, I don't know. I'm just telling you that's what's going on in the world.
Right.
We're fighting scumbags in the IRS. We've got dead people in Benghazi. We've got the White House listening to everything that reporters are doing, and now we lose Floppy.
Yeah.
I mean, what's coming next?
Eric Holder out judge shopping, had to go to a third judge before he could find one that said, this let's go ahead and tap into this guy's stuff. Yeah, and go ahead and get the. Yeah, but let's go back to what's going on with the state senate. Now, I thought it was interesting when you said these are some of your early impressions. Tell me what areas that you would put a high priority that if, let's say in 14, we could swing a couple more seats and let's get the legislature in Republican hands for at least a season. Let's see what the Republicans could do again. We were perhaps disappointed when they did control it some years back that they didn't get more done to change fundamentally what's going on. What would you like to see done if in 14 we could put the majority in your hands, take it out of Gronstall's hands and put it in the Republican hands? What would you like to see done?
One of the first things I'd like to see done is comprehensive tax reform, not just property tax, but I think we need to look at income tax, and capital gains. And the reason I say that is because we have neighboring states, at least one neighboring state, that doesn't have any income tax. Other states that have been very successful in job creation and in helping businesses locate to their states and growing businesses that are currently located there don't have property tax. And our capital gains tax, I think, discourages some people after retirement from staying here. So they end up moving to other states where they don't have to pay an income tax or a capital gains tax. And that hurts our state as well, because we don't have those people here making investments in our local communities, to libraries, for example.
What do you think makes us most non-competitive? You mentioned a number of different types of taxes. Which one do you think puts us at the most disadvantage? Because this is a competitive environment. We have to compete against other states for businesses. Terry Branstad's been very aggressive at doing what he can with a limited load in his gun. What would you do to put more bullets in that gun to make it more competitive to try to bring in some more businesses?
I think it's income tax.
Okay. How would you do it? Would you try to eventually do away with, would you go the route of the Floridas and the Texas? Would you try to do away with income tax on the state level altogether?
Well, I'd want to take a look first at what the implications would be for completely eliminating it. We may find after doing some research that we would want some level of income tax. Otherwise, we'd be
maybe a bigger state sales tax to make up for the difference or something like that.
Yeah, and maybe that'd be fine. But I just want to make sure that we've thought through the problem before we pull the trigger and make a decision on what to do.
I'm encouraged with that. Anything on the social agenda front? We know that Gronstal will not tolerate any debate about the institution of marriage. The issue of the abortion on demand in the state, and so on and so forth. Would you like to see some of those social issues open back up if the Republicans would gain control again?
I would. I'm pro-life, and I'm not ashamed or embarrassed of that. I'm proud of it, and I'd like to see some more pro-life legislation in particular enacted by the legislature if we're able to get control of both chambers and the governorship.
And marriage?
Marriage, I believe that that's a decision that ought to be up to the people of the state. And that's what I said during my campaign, and I think that's probably what would end up happening if Republicans were able to take control.
Think we'd have something on the ballot, or you think it'd be done on the Hill?
On the ballot. Okay. Well, you would need legislation passed in order to put something on the ballot.
Okay, but then you've got a situation like California that no matter what the people said, you've got a liberal wing judge who comes back and says, well, even though you elected that, you voted for that, we can't allow that in our state. We'd have that here, I'm sure.
We very well may. In the Supreme Court, deliberations this summer may have an impact on what is able to happen or what kind of challenges there would be.
Yeah. What's refreshing about working on the State House? Because to me, it just seems drudgery. It just seems like it would be just, the slow plow and the thick mud.
The refreshing parts for me are when I've helped a constituent get an answer to a question that they didn't know where else to turn for an answer. And that's one of the things I enjoyed about being on city council too, was helping people cut through the bureaucracy. Refreshing to me too is when we're able to get some major bills done in a bipartisan manner and work together to accomplish things like we did this session. And what's refreshing to me too is when I'm able to work together with other Democrats to get some things done that are not necessarily partisan issues or Republican or Democrat issues, but issues that are important.
Okay, good.
And one other thing I want to mention too, my wife and I talked about this too. One of the refreshing things is we open every session with a prayer and with a Pledge of Allegiance. And that's really refreshing to me, and I know it was to my wife too, because it really centers me for the day and reminds me that I'm not there for my own self-interest. I'm there for a bigger purpose.
Yeah. Are you Catholic?
I am.
Yeah. You said you went to Sacred Heart, so that's what I Figured you go to Dowling then after that?
I went to Dowling for 2 years and then ended up graduating from Newton High School because my
you
parents
moved over there.
Yep, my parents moved there after my sophomore year.
Sure. Okay. Well, we're going to have one bit left with Mr. Schneider, and your calls are always welcome. 1-855-244-0077. That's 1-855-244-0077. Charles Schneider, State Senator, District 22. If you don't know, that's West Des Moines, Waukee, Clive, and Windsor Heights. We'll be back with Mr. Schneider after this. Tom Coates and I live today on The View from a Pew on 99.3. This is KTIA, Iowa, powered by WebcastOneLive.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittiesusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We've got questions. You've got the answer. Join the conversation. It's your voice we want to hear. So call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
4th day of June in the Lord's year 2013. I'm J. Michael McCoy. 10 before the top, Salem Radio Network News at the top of the hour, and then True Blue with Pastor Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church. Charles Schneider is our guest today. He's state senator from District 22 in Iowa. That's West Des Moines, Waukee, Clive, and Windsor Heights. Tom Coates in the house, and you had a question for Mr. Schneider.
Yes.
Do we call you Senator Schneider?
Well, Senator.
You can call me Charles. That's fine with me.
Okay.
All right. Senator.
We've had other senators. I mean, we've had Brad Zahn in here different times and different people. So, I mean, in fact, we've had, over the time, Mac, we've had a lot of politicians in here. Tom Latham was in not that long ago.
And Charles was on Brad Zahn's show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so,
a few weeks ago.
Good. All right. You came up to me at an event for the Iowa Faith and Freedom when, and we met at the... I don't know if it was before or after, but anyway, you came up and you said that there was one issue that you regretted your vote on. You want to share with the audience what that one regret that you had on a vote this year was?
Yeah, that was the vote on allowing people to effectively overturn their lifetime ban from casinos. And I do remember talking to you about that. And that was an issue where I quickly learned that you can't always expect every interested party to inform you about what's in a bill. And you've really got to do your homework and put some thought into what you're voting on. This was a bill that I think I'm not alone in saying I wish I would have voted the other way. And I promise I will vote the other way if it comes up for a vote again. What I didn't understand at the time, and until seeing a news broadcast and an interview with you, is I didn't fully appreciate the pattern of behavior that someone who's addicted to gambling will go through in order to sometimes trick themselves into thinking that they're better or they can handle the problem, and how just letting up a little bit on the pedal could propel them back into another full-blown, devastating addiction.
Absolutely.
Mac's an expert on addictions, he still leads an AA group that, and it's a little different, yet it's still an area of addiction. The reason that the motivation for the casinos and their lobbyists, and by now they've got a host of lobbyists whenever they need them up on the Hill. At one point, we counted they had 70 lobbyists at one time or another had worked for the casinos in the state of Iowa up there on the Hill. And their motivation is that 40 to 50% of their money comes from people that are problem or pathological gamblers. And once so many of those people become banned and can't get back on there, much of their revenue declines. It's a small percentage of the population, but it's a big percent of their revenues that are derived from that. And so the reason they tried to sneak that through was that they would like for them to be able to unban themselves, come back on, and then provide that disproportionate amount of revenue that the problem and pathological gamblers do, to their own family's expense and to the rest of our expenses, in my judgment.
But that bill didn't pass, right?
It did pass. It passed overwhelmingly, and were it not for Terry Branstad vetoing it, it would be the law right now.
That's right.
I wish I could share with you, but I received some communications from some people after that thing passed. One was a man with a wife that had banned herself, started going back. Now, there's a problem with the bill the way it is, because the casinos, being the predatory animals that they are, I think full well know when a banned gambler comes back on the property. Now, a lot of times they don't because they're afraid of the consequences, but sometimes they go ahead and start coming back anyway. She came back on, he said his wife did, started gambling, was generally losing, and then hit a $10,000 jackpot. Guess what happened?
She lost the jackpot.
Kept it.
Yeah, that's right. They called her in. They say, you're a banned gambler. We're not only not going to pay you, but you stay put because we're calling the police. They charged her with criminal trespass, and he said it became part of her criminal record, and it denied her a job later that she was trying to get because of that. So there are some problems with that. But then I said, you've got to be careful because suicide is also a very high rate amongst pathological gamblers. It's an 18% rate of attempted suicide. And he said, that's funny you should mention that, because he said, not long ago I was worried about her. She was despondent. I called back, couldn't get her to answer. I got my son to go over and check on her, and she had tried to kill herself with an overdose of pills. So this is something that we've talked about before, and I don't want to spend too much time, but it's a big issue, and I was glad that Branstad was there. And when he first initiated it, Charles, and you may remember that, he tried to set up a lot of safeguards. He didn't want gambling in the first place, and he said it was his biggest regret after 16 years of being governor. But I talked to his staff, and they're very frustrated that virtually all of the safeguards he initially set in have been systematically torn down, from the issuing of credit on the grounds of the casino to this issue about banning, and many other different things have been torn down. So
I remember when Branstad came on my radio show, but he wasn't governor. He was heading out the university.
Des Moines University.
And they were trying to get ATMs banned from the casinos. And, of course, they didn't get that done.
Well, the thing that was the bigger problem than the ATMs were the machines that cash advanced on credit cards.
Right.
And the Attorney General and the Racing and Gaming Commission said you are violating the law because your personnel are facilitating it, and you're taking a percentage. When somebody cash advanced against a credit card, Prairie Meadows or the other casinos were taking a percentage of that, and their personnel were facilitating it. So they said, you're in effect violating the Iowa law that says you cannot extend credit. Well, the casinos sued, as they've done in other cases, sued the state of Iowa, got up in front of Judge Hanson. Judge Hanson said, well, there's too much of it. Although I sat in the courtroom and listened to testimony, and they admitted what I just said and more. He said, this is a gray area. We need to kick it back to the legislature and let them, sort this out. And again, then the army of lobbyists come and descend on top of the hill, and nothing got done. And so they continued with his stay to this day to allow millions of dollars every year to be cash advanced on credit cards, which for some becomes very problematic. And that's where, according to Iowa State University study done some years back, 18% of our state's bankruptcies are filed to discharge primarily gambling debt, and that gambling debt results in 30 to 40% deeper debt, bigger debt piles than the non-gamblers.
Well, Tom Coates, thank you very much. Charles Schneider, State Senator from District 22, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Love to have you back again someday.
That'd be great.
Tomorrow, Testify, 11:30 to 1 at Incredible Pizza. Great guy's going to give his personal testimony. Pastor Ryan Jorgensen, you've heard him on this show. He's with the Harvest Chapel Bible, and they're getting ready to plant a church here in Des Moines, and he's going to give his personal testimony. So that's tomorrow at Incredible Pizza, 11:30 to 1. All a part of the Christian Business Network here in Des Moines. For Father Tattoo, who's producing the show, and myself, I will see you again on Friday, right places, in on Wednesday and Thursday. And remember, if you do only one thing today, in your busy, hurried, run-around world, make sure at some point you bow your head and you look at your Father God and you thank Him for the abundance of everything that He's given you. He's an incredibly gracious, forgiving God, and we are lucky to have a Father in heaven like that. So don't forget today to simply pray.